This is Sprite. He's oh so handsome. So some difficulties I've been having this breeding season. These birds like to breed in the spring. So you always get less fertility in the fall. But I have gotten a huge amount of infertility this fall. I have a lot of nests that have laid 2 and 3 eggs before they finally got a fertile one going. And a fair number that never did get any fertility going. I don't know if it's because of our crazy weather. Usually things are a little more stable around here, but we've had heat waves where it's over 100 degrees every day, and then all of a sudden we're having this cold snap where it's down in the low 40s at night. So I had to insulate the bottom of all the nest boxes. You see this duct tape and the insulation under there so that when the hen's body heat warms up the bottom of the box, it won't get whisked away by the cold air. This goes a long ways towards helping hens be successful at breeding in colder weather, because it keeps the bottom of the box warm, which allows her to get out and eat. Hens are trapped in taking care, there's Remington just came out, and keeping their eggs and their chicks warm. They can't leave them if they're going to turn around and get cold again instantly. And in fact, if the temperature drops below 40 degrees, the hen is no longer able to keep her eggs and chicks warm, even in a wooden box, because the air just makes the wood too cold. So I'm insulating all the bottom of my boxes because we're having this weird cold snap a week after having way too much heat. So that might have something to do with it, but the fertility has just not been good. In fact, I have several pairs that are proving infertile. There's Marshmallow and Cookie. And I'm not calling them infertile yet. I'm going to breed them again in the spring and see if luck comes better. Because in the springtime, in the fall, it's typical to everybody's first egg is infertile. For some reason, this fall, it's typical for everyone's second and third egg to be infertile as well. I have literally like one hen that actually has only one infertile egg before she started producing fertility. All the rest has been just egg after egg blank. But I'm going to use my infertile pairs as fosters. I have a couple in here, and I'll use them as fosters because I have some high-value birds that are producing chicks, which is always nice. So yeah, the weather and the infertility has just been difficult this time around. I'm still waiting for these two to put this together. They were both bonded to somebody else, so they could be in here for a month before they finally put it together. And I put these guys back up again. As you can see, there's not a lot of love happening here, but it's only been a day, so I'll give him a little more time. So anyway, that keeping the bottom of the nest warm is really helpful. So like, this is Stella, and she is raising 2 chicks completely on her own. And that insulation on the bottom of that box is allowing her to get out of the box and run around and do other things like feed herself, and while her chicks are not freezing to death because the wood on the bottom of the box is warmed by her body and stays warm. So there's that. So yeah, it's been a little rough. And then on top of that, I clearly have not conquered my calcium problems, because literally every nest with chicks over a week old is on calcium now because their chicks started to go rickety. So, I think I'm on the right track, but I have clearly not solved it yet. So, Remington's babies, calcium. These babies are on half calcium because they're still young. These are on a quarter calcium because they're still young. Quarter calcium because they're still young. These, again, quarter calcium. These guys are on full calcium. So what's happening this time around is I'm seeing they're definitely the chicks are developing to a later stage before the rickets hits. Last spring it was so bad that they were all going to rickets before they were 7 days old. Now they're making it to 10, 12 days, and then they start to go. So I'm watching them carefully. When I start seeing telltale signs of rickets, even in young chicks, I'm starting them on low-dose calcium and will up it as necessary. So how do you tell if a chick's getting ready to come down with rickets? There's a whole bunch of different symptoms. The first one is if a chick is laying on its side instead of up on its knees. Chicks should spend most of their lives propped up on their knees in the nest, kind of in the fetal position, but up on their knees. And if you're laying down on their side, that's not good. What it means is that they're too weak and they can't stay up, and pretty soon their bones will start bending and they'll become what I call squash babies. Their bodies literally bend to form to the shape of their mother's bodies because their bones are so soft. So that's one of the first signs. If you see a baby that's laying on its side in the nest, immediately start calcium. Another symptom is thigh bones will start to get elongated and turn red and irritated. That's rickets, that's splayed legs coming at you at 100 miles an hour. And these two, I'm so sad they were infertile. Beautiful birds. But I really don't think they are infertile. I think it's just fall. But anyway, I interrupted myself. So, the minute you see thighs starting to look elongated and look red and irritated, the skin, slam them with calcium or else you're going to end up with splayed legs. The other thing is, now, chicks go through a period where their legs kind of stick out to the side anyway. So this one's a little harder to tell, but you can, if their legs are jutting out to in a V shape on either side of their head, that's slam them with calcium. And then the other thing that's a little harder to tell if you don't really know what you're looking at is chicks that are like, their legs are not long enough to reach around either side of their belly. What happens is, their body starts being selective about what's going to grow and what's not going to grow. And the organs in the torso and everything have to grow. So we'll just let the limbs not grow. So the wings and the legs will become stunted. And pretty soon you'll have a baby that's like a weeble. It weebles and you put it up on its belly and it weebles and wobbles and tips over because its legs aren't long enough to reach around its belly. That's rickets. Slam them with calcium. And it's really funny because when you see a chick like that, you give its parent calcium for 48 hours and then you go look at it again, it will have these great big long legs and giant feet. I mean, the correction that calcium brings when you give it to a baby that's sliding into rickets is dramatic. So, I'm really just can hardly wait to see these two's babies. This is going to be awesome. That is Luna and Hemsworth. And they are flirty, flirty, flirty. They have their first egg, but they need to keep going. So anyway, so yeah, that's symptoms of calcium that you see in chicks. You cannot give chicks under 6 days old full strength calcium because it will burn them in some way and kill them. But once they're 6 days old or older, you can give them full strength calcium in their water. So, this is, okay, I'm having a brain fade. This is Hephaestus. He's Coco's baby boy. And I really want to get some babies out of him. But his hen climbed in the nest, and I think I stalled her out by giving her some medication. And she just sat in there and never formed an egg. So I pulled her and stuck her out in the flight cage, and I'm waiting for her cycle to switch so that she can start over again. Because I think she just stalled out. I gave her the medication at a time that kind of triggered a stop. So I'm waiting for her. I'm going to give her like a week away from him and away from the box to kind of settle down and for the hormones to drop. And then I'll bring her back in and see if she can't make it through the full cycle. Because I'd really like to see her. His girl is Demeter, who is Luna's full sister and identical twin, as far as I can tell. And I would really like to get some chicks out of these two. It's a fabulous pairing, and they just adore each other. So I'm really hoping that there's nothing really wrong with Demeter. She's just, I just hit her wrong with the meds. So he's sad and lonely. He's marked his territory, but he has no girl in here, and he calls for her all day long. So hopefully I'll be able to put her in here in the next few days. Okay, so that's how fall breeding is going.